Hey everyone, it is National Book Award season, one of my absolute favorite times of year. And today I am here with a prediction video. I'm going to try to talk about some of the titles that I think will be on the 2020 long list for the National Book Award for Fiction. We better get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you all doing? I hope you are safe. I hope you are healthy. If you have been affected by the California, Oregon, Washington wildfires, I hope you are very safe. I hope your air quality is improving. I hope your homes are safe, and I hope everything is recovering. If you are affected by Hurricane Sally that just passed through, I hope you guys are all well. I hope that your houses are well. And as always, I hope you guys are getting some amazing reading done. As you guys know, if you have been a fan of my channel, I am a huge fan of the National Book Award. For the last 3 years, I have read the long list for fiction, and I have created videos about the long list, I've created videos about the short list, and I have predicted my winner. So I thought this year what I would do is I would talk about books that I think could be on the long list. And yeah, I have way more than the 10 or 12 books that will likely wind up on the long list, but I want to talk about them all because, as always, this is also an opportunity for me to explode your TBR. So get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, however you keep track of your TBR. If you are so able to order 1, 2, 3 of these books, the entire long list from your local independent bookstore, please do so. You know they would appreciate it, and so would the authors. If you are a library user, get those orders in early. Try to get the entire long list. Read it with me, because you know I will be here. I will be ready to talk about them as soon as that list comes out. So we better get started. And as I've said a little bit in my videos over this year, I really think that this has been a phenomenal year for debut novelists. So I do have quite a few debut novels to talk to you guys about. I'm going to keep my summaries on all of these books very short because I do not want this video to be hours long. And I will talk about the long list in much more detail when it comes out and also as I read them. So let's get started. A book that really needs no introduction either on my channel or really to the world, because it was also longlisted for the Booker Prize, is How Much of These Hills is Gold by C. Pam Zhang. This is out from Riverhead Books. This is a story of 2 Chinese children who are living in America in sort of an alternate gold rush American West. They are trying to find a place to bury their father who has recently died. Their mother has already passed away. This is an interpretation of not only the American West from a different perspective, but also a different interpretation of the American dream and all of sort of the things that go with that. Yeah, I think that this has an excellent chance of being on the long list. That's How Much of These Hills is Good by C. Pam Zhang, out from Riverhead Books. Okay. A book that I am currently reading and was just shortlisted for the Booker Prize is The New Wilderness by Diane Cook, out from Harper Books. This is a sort of a dystopian novel about the fact that the United States has just been destroyed by all of the people, all of the pollution, and people live in the very crowded cities. And we have a mother who has decided that she is going to partake in this sort of experiment with a group of people to live in the only part of the wilderness that is still untouched by humanity. Her daughter was very sick, and she's moving her there to the wilderness to hopefully improve her health. This is sort of an adventure narrative. It's also sort of a tale of a mother, what she's willing to do for her daughter, and how to survive just in the world as it is with everything that's going on, reintroducing yourself to the wilderness and how to survive there. I am probably 60 pages in now. I am part 3. I think about 60 pages. I started it last night, and I am loving it. That's The New Wilderness by Diane Cook, out from Harper. Yeah, I'm so excited that made the shortlist for the Booker too. I always like to try to choose a couple of books from my local or my smaller independent presses that I love, that I would love to see on the long lists, because I want to get the exposure not only to the authors, but to the press and to the reading public. And one book that I am currently reading right now, I'm reading 2 books at one time, guys. That's crazy for me, but I think deserves all of the attention that the National Book Award can give it. And that is Like a Bird by Fariha Roisin, out from UnNamed Press. This is a book that focuses on a young woman who goes through a tragic, abusive episode in her life, and how that event affects what happens to her after it occurs. Her psyche, her mental stability, her relationships with her family, her relationships with herself, and the relationships that she creates thereafter this event occurs. I haven't read enough of it. I'm 60 pages into this one too. I am 60 pages into this one too. And I will say it is beautifully written, darkly lyrical, phenomenal characters, just so well done, but also inventive and expressive, and I just really hope that it makes the list. So that's Like a Bird by Fariha Roisin, out from UnNamed Press. I am loving that. Those are the two books that I'm reading right now. One book that you guys are not going to be surprised is in this video is Real Life by Brandon Taylor. This is probably my favorite book I've read in 2020. This is a debut novel about Wallace, who is a young Black queer man in graduate school in the Midwest. And it's really the events that occur over one weekend when he deals with racism, discussions on misogyny, discussions on homophobia, queer relationships, sexual abuse, relationships with your parents. So much is dived into in this book, and it is all brilliantly done. And this was also just shortlisted for the Booker Prize. So congratulations to Brandon. Could not have happened to a better, phenomenal novel. So that is Real Life by Brandon Taylor. Brilliant. I hope it makes it on the list. So good. Another book that I can't seem to get out of my head is Luster by Leilani, out from FSG. Oh, I should say that Brandon's book is out from Riverhead as well. This Luster, out from FSG, I have talked about this in a number of videos. This is a powerful, powerful book about a woman who she's sort of got a messy life, but she understands who she is. She's sort of very sex positive, sex forward, but she struggles in intimacy. She struggles in creating long-term, functioning, fulfilling relationships. And this is the discussion, or sort of the story is regarding her relationship with a married man and his family when she becomes involved in an affair with him, and he has an open marriage, so it allows sort of like this conversation to happen with his wife and his young adopted daughter. I thought this book was brilliant. I think it was just shortlisted or longlisted for the Kirkus Prize. May have been longlisted. I hope that it does well there. It is phenomenal. She has such a way with language. So this is Luster by Leilani, out from FSG. Okay. A book that was, yeah, God, you guys, so many good books this year. I do not envy the National Book Award judges at all. I want to talk about A Burning by Megha Majumdar, and I'm sorry, Megha, that I'm totally butchering your last name. Congratulations on being named one of the up-and-coming stars of publishing by Publishers Weekly this week. A Burning is a tale that's set in India from 3 different perspectives. One is a young girl who gets accused of being involved in a terrorist group that blows up a train, and she gets put in prison. It is her story. It's the story of a teacher she had while in school, and his dive into and becoming part of a political organization that's willing to do anything to be in power. And also the story of a young trans woman who is trying to become a very famous actress on the screen, has a lot of potential, but is also really the alibi for the young girl to prove that she maybe or maybe could not have done the act that she is being convicted of. Is that the word I'm looking for? Goodness, I'm trying to talk about all these books, trying to be so articulate. So many good books, you guys. And A Burning by Megha Majumdar is one of them, out from Knopf. Okay. A book out from Catapult that I just hope winds up on the list because I loved it so much and I want more people to read it is You Exist Too Much by Zaina Arafat, out from Catapult, as I said. This is the story, another story of a woman trying to find her way in the world, and she also has these sort of relationships where she struggles in order to connect with people and really just sort of be honest and emotionally open. So she winds up going to this facility in an attempt to better herself, to be more open, to come sort of terms with her the way that she sort of works and interacts with the world. And at the same time, we really get to dive into who she is as a person. I thought this was a brilliant book. One of those books, you know, I like a book that doesn't have to have a lot of plot, but is really about the person and their development and their psyche. And if that's the kind of book for you, this is definitely going to be a book you love. So that's You Exist Too Much by Zaina Arafat, out from Catapult Books now. Okay. A debut novel that I read, I want to say a few months, I think this came out in March, and I loved so much, is These Ghosts Are Family by Maisy. This is the story of a man who, at the very beginning of the novel, we find out that he sort of created a story, a life, after telling a lie. So he faked his own death, and he's at the end of his life, and he's brought 3 women together, 2 daughters and a granddaughter. One daughter thought that he's been dead for the last 30 years. And he brings them together to tell his story. It's not only a story about how that affected him, but it's really a story about how his decision affected the lives of the many women in his world. And that includes the wife he left in Jamaica, the children he left in Jamaica, the relationships he started in the United States, and the children he had. He goes from Jamaica to England, England to the United States, and in the United States he has children and grandchildren as well, and sort of how all of that decision and everything that he does affected these young women and who they became and who they are going to become. I loved it. I love the stories. I love the characters. It has sort of like that interchanging short story, interwoven short story feel to it. Brilliant writing, truly talented. And that is These Ghosts Are Family by Maisy, out from Simon & Schuster, I should say. Thank you so much. Simon & Schuster did send me an early copy of that, but I bought myself a copy too because I loved it so much. A book that I started and I had to put down because I was reading another book for my book club and I never got back to, and that is shame on me because I was really enjoying it, is Conjure Woman by Afia Atakora, out from Random House. This is the story of a mother and daughter, and it takes place in 2 time periods, before the Civil War and after the Civil War. I think it's weird to say during slavery and after slavery, because after the Civil War, slavery just didn't all of a sudden disappear. After the Civil War, things did change, but there was still a lot going on. We have a young woman whose mother was sort of like the woman you would go to if you needed sort of an herbal remedy or if you needed a curse to be laid on someone. And her mother passes away very early in the novel, and she sort of becomes that woman, not only for the plantation that she lived on, but in the other sort of storyline after the Civil War, she's older and she is that person for the community that she lives in. And it's about the relationship she has not only with her mother and sort of the history of her people and her lineage, but also her relationship with a white woman who was a young girl in the house that she on the plantation that she lived in, and sort of the future of that adventure and that relationship as well. So that's Conjure Women by Afia Atakora, out from Random House. I definitely think that this hits all of those National Book Award buttons. So we may see that one. The stack is big. One that I have also, I started this one too. I am into a couple of books and I need to just sit down and read, you guys. That is The Great Offshore Grounds by Vanessa Veseleka, and this is out now from Knopf as well. And this is the story of 2 sisters. So they, at the very beginning of the book, they come together. One of the sisters has just left her marriage. She's sort of out on her luck. She comes to live with her other sister. She's had sort of like this strange relationship for years. They haven't seen each other, but on the day that the book starts, they are going to head to their father's wedding. They haven't seen their father since they were 14 years old. But they have been invited to his wedding to a new woman. Their mother picks them up, and we find out that the mother and father were sort of in this polyamorous relationship. And very soon thereafter, after the 2 women that the father was involved in had babies, 2 little girls. the sisters. But one of the mothers did not want to be a mother and the other did. So she, the one who did want to be a mother, took over mothering the two daughters and the other woman just left. And they have never been able to get any information. They don't know who is whom's mom. You know what I mean? They just know that one of them is from this mother who left. And on his wedding day, their father, who they haven't seen in 14 years, decides to give him the name of the other woman. And that starts an entire adventure together. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on. I'm loving it, actually. I think that the writing is brilliant. The story is brilliant. It's a heavy hardback, though, I have to tell you. But totally loving it. I think it has a lot of potential. It has all of that sort of epic family drama that the National Book Award likes. So that's The Great Offshore Grounds by Vanessa Veselika. And I've heard that her last name means rainbow in Ukrainian. And this is out now from Knopf Books. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's hope nothing falls over. Let's do our best. Every year, the National Book Award does have a couple of short story collections. One short story collection that I do not own, that I think could very well be on this list, by the way, is Daddy by Emma Cline. I've heard great things about it. I just read a review of it by Brandon Taylor, and I think it has a lot of potential to be on this list. The one I do own that I also think has a lot of potential is I Know You Know Who I Am by Peter Kispert. This is a collection that focuses on the idea of untruth, lies, deceptions, falsehoods that you tell or people tell each other, and the repercussions of those actions, the decisions to tell those lies to sort of lead people astray. That's sort of the focus of the collection. I've read 2 of the stories in it, and I really like him. I really like his tone. I think he's very clear. He's able to really compact a lot into the pages of a short story. So I feel like this has a lot of the short story vibes that they like at the National Book Award. So that's I Know You Know Who I Am by Peter Kispert, out from Penguin Books. Okay, now we're going to go into books that are not debuts. We're going to sort of talk about books that are out by authors that have had a book out, or maybe more. One book that I think has a good opportunity is Inland by Tia Albright, set in the late 1800s in sort of the Arizona territory. It's the story, it's sort of told in 2 pieces, of a woman who lives out there in the middle of nowhere, and sort of the effects that is having on her. And we also have a criminal that's sort of on the run. What's sort of in the backdrop of this is the historical fact that at this time the U.S. brought over a bunch of camels and created sort of this camel brigade that went through this area, and a lot of the people didn't know what camels were, so it created sort of this mythos regarding that, and all of that comes together. The woman, the criminal, and sort of that historical factor come together to become our story in Inland by Tia Albright. This got phenomenal reviews when it came out, so I have a really good feeling. She won the Women's Prize for Literature for The Tiger's Wife, which was her first book, and I have a feeling maybe it could be on the list. I'm not 100% sure, but I loved her. I met her in person, and she was amazing. So there you go. A book that I 100% want on this list, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, is Cleanness by Garth Greenwell. I loved this book. This is out from FSG. Oh, I should say, did I say that this is out from Random House? Out from Random House. FSG put out Cleanness by Garth Greenwell. This is sort of an interconnected short stories where the main character floats through. He's a teacher in Bulgaria. He teaches English, and he's about to come home, and each section deals with a different type of relationship, and he just has a way with words. He has such poetry in his language. His writing is so dense, but at the same time so light in its poetic nature. That doesn't make any sense. That was sort of a mixed metaphor, but you know what I mean if you've read the book. It has such a sexual energy to it. It just makes you think, it makes you feel, it makes you understand what good literature is. And that is Cleanness by Garth Greenwell. I hope Garth gets himself on the long list, because I think that book is phenomenal. A book that just came out, has gotten phenomenal reviews, and I have been dying to read is Transcendental Kingdom by Ya Agassi. I loved Homecoming. Her first book. I don't know a lot about Transcendental Kingdom because I've been trying to come to it with a little bit of like Don't know too much. Don't get bought into the hype, but it has gotten phenomenal reviews. And this says, this is a novel about a Guyanan family in the contemporary South, at once a profound story about race in America and an astonishingly intimate portrait of a young woman reckoning spiritually and intellectually with the legacy of an unmanageable loss. And so it's about a PhD candidate at Stanford. She comes home, I believe, or her mom comes out to her, I think, because she's been dealing with depression and stuff like that. I don't want to know too much because it's one of my most anticipated books of 2020, and it literally just came out. And so that's Transcendent Kingdom by Agassi. I keep wanting to say Transcendental, and that's wrong. It's Transcendent Kingdom. Russell, get it right, by Agassi. This is out from Knopf. You can get your hands on it right now. I know a lot of people read it and loved it. Loved it. A book that I picked up the other day on a whim is Yuyun Lee's Must I Go? And I have read Where Reasons End, and all I remember is bawling my eyes out. And I think this book is going to be another one where I bawl my eyes out. And this is the story of an old woman, because you know I love that. So it says, Lila Liska has shrewdly outlived 3 husbands, raised 5 children, and seen the arrival of 17 grandchildren. Now she has turned her keen attention to the diary of a long-forgotten man named Roland Boley, with whom she once had a fleeting affair. Increasingly obsessed with Roland's intimate history, Lila begins to annotate the diary with her own rather different version of events, revealing the surprising long-held secrets of her past. I don't know that I need to know anymore. I think that sounds so good. You know how much I love an old woman protagonist. I love it so much. So this is out from Random House. This is Must I Go by Yuyun Lee. I am so excited for that one. I have so many amazing books to read, you guys. I don't even know what I'm going to do. The Death of Vivek Oji by Maisy. I struggle so hard with their first name. I'm so sorry. Every time I see it, just the first 3 letters together in my head, it makes my whole mouth stop up. This is out from Riverhead Books right now. I've heard nothing but phenomenal things about this book and everything that goes with it. It takes place in Nigeria. A mother opens the door and she finds her son wrapped in colorful fabric at her feet. And what follows is a heart-wrenching story of one family's struggle to understand a child whose spirit is both gentle and mysterious. Raised by a distant father and a compassionate but overprotected mother, Vivek Oji suffers disorienting blackouts, moments of disconnect between self and surroundings, and it's about their life. So that's The Death of Vivek Oji by Maisy, and I am so sorry. I literally, every time I look at your first name, my brain absolutely freezes. So, but I do think this has great potential to be on the long list. Deacon King Kong by James McBride was one of my favorite reads so far of this year. Deacon King Kong is the story of Sportcoat, who is a deacon in his church. He is a man, and an older man who struggles with alcohol. His wife has just passed away. One day walks up in the middle of the sort of square of his living units and shoots the local young drug dealer. And it is the repercussions of that action, not only on himself, but on all of the people in the community and even spread out from the community. This is a tale of one man and his growth from that action, but it is also the tale of community and home and sort of all of the different factors that go into this. I flew through this book. I think it is phenomenal. James McBride, I think, won the National Book Award. Yes, for The Good Lord Bird. So I have a feeling that this book could wind up there again. So that's Deacon King Kong by James McBride, out from Riverhead Books. Another book that was shortlisted for the Booker Prize this week is The Shadow King by Mahsa Mengistu, out from Norton. I think, there's a funny story, but I'm not going to tell you about this, but we did get this signed at Book Expo America. I took home Autumn's copy, and Autumn took home mine. Autumn of the Reading Women. So I have Autumn's signed copy here. This is set in Ethiopia about the time that, like the 1930s when Italy was invading Ethiopia. And it's the story of a group of women who come together to turn into soldiers to protect their country. I've heard it is epic in nature. I've heard that it has one of the most phenomenal war scenes that has been written lately. And I've heard it's just a story of power and strength and perseverance. So that is The Shadow King by Maza Mengistu, out from Norton now. You can get your hands on it right now. One book that I have been meaning to read, and don't ask me why I haven't read it yet, that's The Mountains Sing by Nguyen Pham Quay Ma, and this is out from Algonquin Books. My friend Hunter over at Shelf by Shelf on Instagram raved about this book. This is sort of another epic family tale set in Vietnam, around the Vietnam War, and I think our main character lives in, was born in 1920. Her family was forced to flee, and it's like that whole dynamic of everything going on in a country and how it affects this family and all of the people in it. It starts with the bombing. And the grandmother and the granddaughter are fleeing, dealing with that, dealing with being hungry. It's so visceral, the beginning of it. And I've heard nothing but rave reviews. So that's The Mountain Sings by Nguyen Pham Quay Ma, out from Algonquin. I believe this is her first novel in English, but she has published novels in Vietnamese, I believe. I'm pretty sure. And she's phenomenal to follow on Twitter. I just absolutely love her. Okay, 2 books that have not come out yet that I think could very well be on this list. The first one is Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. This is out from Echo Books. I keep saying I've started a number of these books. I need to sit down and read, people. This is a story of a couple and their 2 children. They rent a house out sort of in the country in the north part of New York. They're trying to escape, have a vacation for the first time. They sort of settle into this house. They've done sort of the Airbnb thing. They're settling in, and the owners of the house show up, knock on the door, and say that there's been a massive power outage and there are issues in New York and they had to flee. So they came to the house they own. And now this family and this couple have to live within this space together. But the family, because phones are down, electricity is out, television's out, they have no way of knowing what's going on or what happened. They can only rely on these strangers for this information. And it's a tale of that dynamic over a weekend. I've heard that it's like one of those books that you just like kind of hold your breath through a lot of the story, and I've heard it's just phenomenal. Nothing but rave reviews. I want to say Roxanne Gay gave it 5 stars and just raved about it. So that's Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. And I have been following him on Twitter, and I adore him, his husband, his talk about his children. So I'm all bought into him. I have started it. I can't wait to finish it. So good. A book that I am again also dying to start, but I am trying to read all of the prequels, but I do think will wind up on this list, is Jack by Marilynne Robinson. This comes out from FSG at the end of September. This is the 4th book in her Gilead series, and this is the story of Jack, who, if you've read the books, you know who Jack is, and you know how important he is to the overall narrative. I have read Gilead. I am halfway through home, an audiobook on my phone, and I think that Marilynne Robinson is one of our most gifted and talented authors living in America today, and everyone is anticipating this book. So I have a very, very big feeling that we will see Jack on the long list. So the only other book that I don't have that I think may wind up on the list is the new Ingrid Nunez book, who won a couple of years ago for The Friend. I have also just read rave reviews about that book. I need to get out to my local independent bookstore and pick it up for myself, or order it. Actually, I'm not going anywhere. I haven't been to a bookstore in so long, but I have been ordering from my local independent bookstores. I definitely need to get my hands on it. She is a prior winner. Her new book is getting rave reviews. She is a phenomenal author. So we could possibly see her on this list as well. What books do you think? I probably left a ton off. What books do you think from my books will wind up on that list? What books have you read that you would like to see on the National Book Award list for fiction? This video is so long, but all of these books are amazing and I had to tell you about them. As always, if you're a return subscriber, thank you so much. If you are new to my channel, I hope that you love this video and you come back for more. Come hear me talk about the long list. Read the long list with me. Come along. We'll have a great time. As always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye.